I lost my virginity outside on a cliff.
How outside? Oh.
On a cliff.
What cliff?
He brought a blanket. It was outside. He took me to this cliff where firefighters usually park their truck on like the top of a hill if there was ever like a fire.
Why in a fire would they go to the top of a hill to park their truck?
If there was a fire in the hills. I'm from Palo Alto, babe.
Oh, okay. Hi, guys. I'm Josie Toda.
I'm Yasmine Hamadi.
I'm Alicia Pascual-Peña, and this is Dare We Say.
Yazzie Boo, what's up?
Yeah, so this weekend, I went to the beach on my own. I got up, I was about to go to the gym, and I was like, I can go any other day. I'm not feeling 100 today, so let's go. I took a book with me. I'm reading Everything I Know About Love. It's a memoir. And so I went to Malibu. I lost self-service. AT&T sucks. And I get to the beach, and I put down my stuff, and I just start reading. And there was a sentence in the book that literally sent me into a manic breakdown in Malibu Beach while all families were just live laughing and loving. And it was this sentence. I don't regret anything I was before because I still am. I only regret not having loved you. I started sobbing. Disgusting snot coming out of my nose in Malibu. I'm getting a burn on my fucking ass because I'm on my stomach. And it's, I think with what's going on in my personal life of like moving forward after a love affair of the century to the gods, I'm trying to move forward. And also like I am so lost. I've been feeling like in my 20s, I was talking to Alicia about this, like I just turned 24. In 3 years, I'm going to be 27. And then in another 3 years, I'm going to be fucking 30. And then I literally got goosebumps saying that I'm going to be 30 because I'm so nervous. And I know there's not one timeline to do anything, but it's like people are in relationships. People are moving in with their partners. People are like having careers that are taking off. And I guess that's because like in the corporate world, you kind of have one streamline of projection, whereas in entertainment, you don't know what the next job's going to be. And so I'm freaking the fuck out and I'm crying when it's 105 degrees in Malibu, no cell service to document this. So no one believed me. Like I was just like, what's the point of all this? Depressing thoughts. And then I went home, sobbed to my mom on FaceTime. She's in Lebanon right now. And I was like, I'm honestly really lonely, but I'm surrounded by so many people. Does that make sense?
Of course that makes sense.
It does make sense. And also, that is not a unique feeling. I feel like a lot of people are feeling that way right now. And I also think that you are entering a new chapter in your life. And something that I'm realizing myself is that obviously life cannot just be highs and highs and highs and highs, because we wouldn't be able to enjoy everything if everything was just good. And also like when you grow and when you experience change, you have to shed layers of yourself in the past. And like in order to grow, you need to be in pain a little bit. And I think
I wholeheartedly agree
that we forget that sometimes when we ask for things in life. Like when we tell the world like, oh, I want a partner, or I want a bigger job, or I want this, the world has to destroy, your current state to give you the strength and to give you the courage and the resilience and the perseverance to like fight past those boundaries. And so, Alicia says it, the church says it, new levels, new devils. And I feel like you're just entering this like new place in your life, and that's what's happening.
And I'm excited about it. It's like I feel like I'm maturing slowly but surely, and I feel like I'm gaining a new sense of self-love. And when I say self-love, I don't mean putting an eye mask on and like getting a massage, even though that's fucking iconic. It's the fact that like I'm having these nights where I'm staying in crying alone. I'm having these nights where I'm journaling and I'm not knowing what tomorrow will bring. And I think that those are so important to have, because you wake up the next morning and you're like, oh, well, that's over because today's a new day. And something that made me feel really comfortable was I asked my mom, did you ever go through this? And she was like, she went through the exact same thing. I don't want to go and spill my mom's tea, but like she was
like, no.
She was like, no, bitch, you're alone. No, she got married to my dad at 21. And that was her first everything. She fell in love and she was like, this is the love of my life. But then when she got married to him, she was like, what the hell am I doing? Obviously, like they're married 30 something years later and they're very happy. But it's like, it's okay to second guess every single thing you do in life. That is human. And also, when it comes to love, even though the pain is so egregious and it literally makes me feel like there's a pit in my stomach at all times, I would do it over and over and over again if it got to mean that I felt that love. Speaking about life and like the process of growing up, I feel like in Gen Z, we do something that other generations didn't really like to talk about or like to do, and that's talk about pleasure, sex, hookups, and everything in between, in the sheets and out of the sheets. So today, friends, we are going to talk about hookup culture and all the bullshit and amazing shit that comes with it. So I'm sure one of the first thing you all are thinking when you see three beautiful, sexy, smart, iconic, humble women is that they fuck.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Do they fuck? And the answer is, well, maybe. Yeah. No. None of your fucking business. But also, what does that even mean in God's year of 2022? We've got dating apps. We've got the traditional go out and meet someone at the bar. We've got flirting with friends of friends. Sometimes we have sleeping with friends. But in our generation, casual sex and self-love seem to be a higher priority than actually getting cuffed and settling down and fostering an actual relationship, especially when we're so busy with our friends and our careers and all that crazy stuff. Today, friends, we're going to take you on a little journey of hookup culture.
So what is hooking up to you? Like, is it kissing? Is it a little intercourse?
Is it little when you kiss a little baby?
Obviously saying that like penetrative sex, that is heteronormative. So, but like, tell me if you were, if I were to tell you, oh, I hooked up with a guy last Tuesday night, outside of this jazz bar.
Outside of this jazz bar in Edinburgh.
How would you perceive that?
Easy. You shared saliva. Personally, and Alicia disagrees with me on this. No, she does, because hooking up, in my opinion, is you and a person shared saliva. That I don't think it's having sex. For me.
No, I fully agree with you. The reason that I'm laughing is because I am low-key so like up in arms about this conversation because in the past I have gotten myself into really interesting situations because someone was like, "Oh yeah, like have you did you hook up with them?"
And you said yes, even though they thought it was sex.
Like, "Oh, yeah, I guess I did." And they were like, "Oh, okay."
You guess you did.
And then till this day, I literally just had to explain to someone that I never slept with a guy that they thought that I slept with because I had said yes. I told one of my best,
it was just kissing.
Yes. I told one of my best friends in the world because she had asked me like, "Oh my gosh, had you guys hooked up?" And I was like, "Yeah, we've hooked up." And she thought that I meant that I had slept with this man when I have never slept with this man. Thank Black baby Jesus. But
I'm sorry to this man.
I'm sorry to this man.
If you're the man listening, I'm so sorry.
Sorry to this man. I wouldn't know this man if I saw him on the street. But no.
Please.
So to answer your question, Josie, for me, hooking up is literally just like kissing. Like
I agree. I think
because I actually disagree.
Go on. Okay.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do.
I disagree because I think if I were to say that I hooked up with someone, I would only say that if I slept with them. Because I don't know, maybe because I'm just a little bit younger than you guys.
Oh, shut up.
How dare you?
Oh, literally
there's
shut
just this
up.
like, I mean, you're younger than Alicia. So anyway, if I were to say that I hooked up with someone, I would assume that they were saying that they would assume that I was talking about sex. So that's why I don't say that. I don't know. I Yasmine, you have to agree with me. I feel like people say, "Oh, we hooked up," and they're talking about sex.
Yeah. I agree with that. And
just because you believe that doesn't mean you don't know that.
Correct. But I do think that's a direct correlation with hookup culture.
Absolutely.
And that's the
I think most people associate that word with intimacy, like having sex.
Correct. What do you guys even think hookup culture is?
I think hookup culture is non-emotional hooking up and friends with benefits, but also sometimes not friends and just benefits, and people having misunderstanding of what they want out of their situationship.
Okay. Alicia?
Frankly, I just see it as like relationships that like lack substance. It's like very transactional. Like I personally have had like only such a negative like perspective on hookup culture because I just feel like it's a generation like trying to get answers and trying to see like what they can get from people in quick ways, like quick gratification through sexual intimacy.
Got it. Yeah, I think both are correct at the same exact time. I think hookup culture is this idea of having casual intimacy with one or more people at the exact same time without trying to catch these feelings for whatever reason. I also
without trying to catch these hands.
Without people trying to catch these hands and feelings. I also feel like
honestly I feel like people catch these hands more than they catch these feelings.
For you.
Oh.
What?
For you.
No,
for
not
you.
by me.
For you. Because people catch these feelings more than they catch my hands. Well, that's something I want to bring up.
I catch flights.
Yeah, Josie does. In our community, I'm going to bring up something a little deeper. Yeah, she catches flights.
Flights, hands, feelings. Continue.
Josie is flights, Alicia is hands,
COVID.
and Yasmine is feelings. And all three are COVID. And so I think in our community, in our upbringing, it's really led us to 3 different perspectives of what hookup culture is. Like for me, growing up in an Arab household, I was taught like women, specifically when it comes to like dating and getting to know men, it's we have to be quiet, talk less, listen more, close your legs. I was loud. I talked more than I listened.
Legs spread eagle.
My legs spread eagle. I'm kidding. But I think because of that, I'm going to just be honest. My parents are not going to like this, but when I was 17, I met a guy on my birthday, and 3 days later, I was so eager to lose my virginity that I had sex with him 3 days later. Yeah. Literally outside. And
wait, what?
Outside.
Wait, I'm sorry.
I lost my virginity outside on a cliff.
How outside? Oh.
On a cliff.
What cliff?
He brought a blanket. It was outside. He took me to this cliff where firefighters usually park their truck on like the top of a hill if there was ever like a fire.
Why in a fire would they go to the top of a hill to park their truck?
If there was a fire in the hills. I'm from Palo Alto, babe.
Oh, okay.
And so we like didn't even like have any foreplay. I was just like, no, like just do it. Like I'm just ready.
Oh my God.
But I think, okay, we're laughing at that, but I think like thinking back, because I suppressed so much want and desire because of my upbringing, I was so eager to just give out whatever intimate wantings and like desires I had. And it was, it's not my parents' fault for doing this, and it's not my fault. You know, I don't regret anything, but it's because of how society and our culture thinks about sex and intimacy. That's how the outcome comes out.
It's social conditioning.
Completely.
Like we're told as women that we need to prioritize the pleasure and the happiness of a man, that we need to be well liked, that we need to not speak too much, not be too opinionated, so we're not deemed as 100%. Abrasive or aggressive. So
no one wants a loud girl.
Exactly. So I think it's social conditioning.
Well,
like we live
in the bedroom. They want to freak in the sheets in a what is it?
I want a lady in the streets, but a freak in the bed. I say, yeah.
Try to get down and try to get
all right. Anyways, it's social conditioning. And then I think that there's also like, because, you know, we live under this patriarchal society. But in addition to that, if you come from certain households, like you guys come from a Middle Eastern household, I come from a Latino, Afro-Latino, very Christian household, that really shaped my worldview about intimacy and about dating and stuff. Like, as you guys already know, and people who are close to me know, I wore a purity ring for most of my childhood, like even up until I left college. And honestly, I don't regret it because I felt like my celibacy empowered me as a young woman. I felt like it didn't make me feel forced to have to engage in like the hookup culture and like the insanity of like college dating. And then like I personally felt empowered by my journey, but at the same time I would be naive to not acknowledge that I think it created some unhealthy bonds that I now have as an adult woman with sex because I like, you know what I mean? Like
a level of uncomfortability and
absolutely
fear,
like
vulnerability.
I naturally, I think innately, I'm not the most vulnerable person. But on top of coming from a household and coming from a culture that said sex is for marriage and you should be a wife, ahora te puede casar.
And you like, do it on your wedding night. Like you save yourself.
Yeah, ahora te puede casar is like a saying in Dominican culture that is still very popularly said. And that means like, oh, now you can get married. And that's the goal. So when you cook well, you clean well, like that is the goal. And I think all of those factors really shaped my uncomfortability in a lot of ways. It's funny because we all explain like we have different definitions of hookup culture. Like as young women right now, how do we feel like we engage with hookup culture?
I feel like, well, so Yasmine and I, and also you, all of us went to predominantly white, sort of like wealthy institution, like a university that was full of like rich white folks. And I remember going to parties where it was literally like a domino effect. It was like the human centipede, where every single person there had slept with another person there who had slept with that same person who the other person had slept with there.
And we all laughed about it. And I'm saying we because I took part in that.
And I didn't, but not by choice. No, I'm just kidding. Well, you know, no, but I think that was weird for me. Like, it was weird for me to have crushes or think people were cute that had also been with my friends. I just do not navigate like that.
100%.
And I think both of our colleges did have that environment. And I think a lot of that mixed with me just being afraid to like put myself out there and just like think of myself as like a fucking turd that was like had a nice body but like still a turd until now. I obviously don't think that anymore. Did I just say that I was like a turd with a nice body?
Who had a nice body? I was gonna say we're definitely making that as an infographic, like for the Instagram.
I'm just picturing what that looks like. But anyway, so I would struggle with that. And I remember just feeling really weird about the fact that like everyone was okay with hooking up with the same people, and that like it was just so casual. Like, to me, and maybe it's because I wasn't the most comfortable with my body and I wasn't the most like empowered in who I was, but to me, like, sleeping with someone in school just seemed so like normal to these people and so easy. Like, oh, I slept with him. Like, I can't imagine. I feel weird being in the same room with people that I've been intimate with. And that's not to say that I've been intimate with a lot of people or that I even enter the same rooms as those people, but I wouldn't want to, you know, because to me that's awkward and like strange, but somehow in school that's normal.
Completely. And I also think in college, and I also think like in our 20s, the intent to go out is to get laid. And I'm not saying that's how it should be.
That is such a thing. And male
validation. So much of like, even like I partook in that, where I was like, oh, I want to hook up with someone tonight. The amount of times where my friends and I have been like, wait, so like who is our like target? Like, who should we try to like flirt with a little bit and like kind of like give an eye?
It's as if that's the only sort of way of gaining happiness in a night. Yeah.
And guys would literally raise their finger and girls would be like, yeah, I think he wants to fuck me.
Especially at our school, where 99.99999% of the men looked like they were in the catalog of like a Gap outlet.
Like Vineyard Vines type bitch. Like they were all of...
But not even, because it wasn't like UCLA or USC. It was like, it was truly like the Morongo fucking outlets. It was like the Moore Park outlets of men.
And I see that so often also, like living in LA, you see these mediocre men with these beautiful women. And I'm just like, how is this happening? How is this happening still? And then also
the women at our school were like models.
We're beautiful. Like, and I've seen so many times my friends and I, who are such beautiful women, get treated like absolute shit. Mm-hmm. I've been manipulated. Like, hey, like you should come over tonight. I come over, like, I want to take you to this formal. And then the next day, he's like, I actually have a girlfriend. Just to get like, affection.
Bitch, wait, why did that happen to me?
See? Josie, like, that's so normalized. And I think that's part of hookup culture is because...
Yeah.
Remember I sent you that TikTok yesterday?
Yeah.
There's this TikToker named The Gardening Theologian. And they posted this like dissertation. They're at like Berkeley or Harvard, and they were talking about like, as long as there's a patriarchy, and I hate saying look, the patriarchy, but it's true. As long as there's a patriarchy in heterosexual relationships, it is almost impossible to foster actual love, because as feminine identifying people, we want to fit this mold inherently, even if we say we're not and we don't care. Because of the patriarchy, we are trying to please the man. We are. And it's literally how we're brought up. It's ingrained in our brain to be what the guy wants. And so often we have to act like we don't care, which is a part of hookup culture. Like we don't catch feelings. Like we leave the morning, then right after, or like right after, sex ends when the man finishes. What the fuck is that? So, and even in media, in movies, you'll see like, let me paint the picture. Like you're in a movie, a guy and a girl, they're hooking up. He starts making out with her real quick. He flips her over, takes off her pants, starts fucking her like he's going to war. He comes, they finish. That is not how sex is. That is not how sex is.
I feel like hookup culture also makes you more emotionally unavailable because it makes you like prioritize like winning and gaining points than it is like having actual feelings and like experiencing happiness. If that makes any sense at all. Like,
absolutely,
I feel like hookup culture makes me want to be more emotionless and to be more like goal driven as far as like, oh, I text.
She just
choked.
God. She literally choked. Can someone CPR her?
That was literally the ghost of my non-existent sex life.
Please.
Wait. Coming through my throat.
Coming through your throat. So true.
Anyway, so that made me, I feel like when I first had my first experiences with boys, be like a she devil cunt. Like I would
yes,
be like
devil
really
cunt.
mean.
Yeah.
Like really mean and like not put any effort. And I remember my best friend Mayron, who is no longer like this, but used to be a fuck boy.
He's a recovering fuckboy.
He's a recovering fuckboy. And I remember I told him like what I had done to this guy, which wasn't that bad. And he looked at me as if I had like shot a cat on the street.
Please.
And was like,
please.
I'm disgusted in you. And I'm like, you are the biggest
hypocrite,
like man whore I've ever met. But the fact that he was like actually hurt by what I had done made me realize like, wow, the society has taught me to like just not be myself and to protect myself at all costs. And by being a little F girl, you kind of do that. But then you don't find any enjoyment in that at the end of the day because you haven't been yourself and you're not having real experiences.
When I first moved to LA, I was like, I'm ready. I'm not going to catch feelings. I don't want a boyfriend. I'm young. And that was when I thought like I was only like romantically into men. And so, like, I remember I would always, like, I would go on dates with guys. We would, like, drink a little bit, and then we just start hooking up. And I always felt so empty the next day. And I always felt so anxious. Like, both of you, how many times have I asked you, should I text him? Wait, what should I say to him? He hasn't answered. Should I double text? Wait, do you think he actually likes me? When it's like they're participating in hookup culture because they own the hookup culture. Because hookup culture was literally inherently made for men. Whereas I had to act like I didn't have feelings and suppress my vulnerability and suppress my actual emotions because I was so afraid of getting hurt. When, like, hate to say it, I think we can all agree, I'm a feelings girl. I catch feels so fast. Someone will look at me nice and I'll be like, yeah, that's my husband. Yeah, that's wifey right there. When it's like, babe, they didn't even talk to you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I personally feel like I think it's beautiful that, like, as a society, we're so sex positive. And I, like, encourage people to, like, live in what feels right to you. And that's different for each person.
Yeah.
So be as promiscuous, have as many sexual interactions with safety, of course, as you see fit. But I personally felt like I didn't really engage in hookup culture. And I still don't. Because for me, as, like, sappy as this sounds, I feel like intimacy is like an energetic exchange, and that's just my truth. And I don't think that that's for everyone. I think when I was younger, I naively thought that sex meant the same thing for every person, and that is not true.
I have a question for you, though.
For sure.
Did you feel shame that you weren't partaking in hookup culture?
Never.
Good.
If anything, I felt like I was happily sitting on a bench watching an insane basketball game.
Please.
Like, that's how I always felt about hookup culture.
Well, they were all players.
And I still do. Like, I felt like everybody was trying to win a game that there was, like, no end to.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like, I had a lot of, like, amazing, like, brothers in college who, like, are not actually my siblings, but, like wonderful platonic relationships with men. And they kind of were echoing the same thing as, like, what my friends who were women were echoing in regards to, like, I just don't feel seen. I just don't feel heard. Well, it's like, yeah, all of us have all of these barriers up, and we're refusing to talk about things and refusing to, like, actually say what we want and refusing to set boundaries. So nobody ever really meets each other. Everyone's too scared to take a step out. Like, I personally like that when I was in college and when I was in high school, like, that I wasn't engaging in hookup culture.
Yeah.
I still like casual intimacy and casual dating is not something I do.
Sure.
I just think it's just because like I'm an intentional person with everything I do. But like I encourage other people. Like if that is something that you want to do and you want to date multiple people and you want to have your roster, great. But just don't take emotional consent away from other people. I think a lot of people engage in hookup culture and don't tell other people the truth about what they want or what they're doing. And that is what I despise about hookup culture. And honestly, why I feel like a vieja, which means like an old lady about it. And I'm just like, I don't do it and I'll never do it. Because I'm not going to sit here and play this little game back and forth. Like we're too grown and I know my worth.
I agree. I don't think I've ever fallen victim to hookup culture in that way just because I'm convinced, like I need someone to literally Camille Vasquez their way into convincing me that they want to like be around me. Like I need a 4-act 1-woman Fringe show.
Wow.
Please. Yeah,
wow.
You've been in Scotland too long.
The whole shebang.
She's like Fringe.
The Fringe.
Also, suddenly I'm coming out as lesbian. I mean, like one man, I don't know. Like for a man to convince me that like I believe that he wants to be near me or around me or whatever just because of my crippling insecurity. So I've never been like, oh, were we something more? Because I just assume that I'm like a little rock on the street with like a short tiny skirt and
Please,
like
not a
like
rock on the
a
street.
strand of hair.
Literally.
But so that's why I haven't been hurt by it. But you definitely have, Yasmine. I feel like you've definitely
all right,
like been hit with people who you thought was something more and it wasn't. And I only say that because you've told me that.
No, and I'm grateful that you did say it because I feel like our listeners, you're not alone in this.
Are you a victim of hookup culture? Have you been shot down, hit, burned by a man with a penis the size of a
Please
pickle?
stop.
Oh, gosh.
End it there
Oh,
because
gosh.
my
Oh,
parents
gosh.
are gonna
Oh,
lose their
gosh.
shit. But I will say you will never meet anyone kinder, sweeter, more generous, loving than a guy trying to fuck you for the first time. You'll never. They will say anything that you want to hear.
Absolutely.
And that's the part where, Alicia, you brought up the emotional manipulation.
Yes, and the consent.
And the consent where it's like, guys have literally, I've talked to men till sun up about our dreams and aspirations. And things happen, and then I never hear from them again.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then I stay up for weeks mourning this one night where I'm like, did I do something wrong?
No.
Was I the problem? And now like I'm grown and I realize I'm damn well not the problem. I'm literally a pot of gold. Anyone would be so fucking lucky to have me, which takes a lot of work because sometimes I feel like I'm alongside Josie. I'm a rock with a skirt on the side of a street.
Yeah.
And it's these men
but they're doing it intentionally.
They're doing it intentionally or
they want you to-
unintentionally because society literally makes them the patriarchy. But it's true. Like makes
it doesn't
them,
serve us or them.
No, it doesn't. Where it's like these men also have feelings, but because they're so ingrained to not feel, to not be in touch with their hearts, they're like, no, I just want to fuck and that's it. And that hurts.
Yeah. And a lot of men are like cosplaying in like masculinity and what they think they're supposed to be.
And also like when they're hooking up with you, can I just, to all my like cis men who are watching our show or listening, please, 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 please. The sexiest thing in the world is to communicate in bed and out of bed. Ask us, does that feel good? Talk to us. Do you like it there? Don't just whip out your dick and expect us to like open our legs. Invest in emotion. Invest in intimacy. Does this feel good? How does that feel? Are you okay? Does that feel okay right there? Talking about consent is the sexiest thing. Obviously, you don't need to get like out of the moment, but bring it into the bedroom. And these men don't understand that.
Consent is sexy.
It literally is just
but
they're fingering you and they're like, does this feel good? And it's your fucking belly button. It's your belly button.
Like the amount of times I've looked at men, but also like just platonic friends in my life, and I'm like, tell me the truth, not what you think I want to hear.
Yep.
Because so many people are trying to sell you some shit. Like I don't think that I know everything in the world. I'm young. I have so much to learn. But I would like to say I'm pretty perceptive. And I could tell when you're just saying things to stroke my ego. Or like I've had men, which is so peculiar. I've had men like play the spiritual route. Like, especially like when I had a purity ring, like
that is insane
like
to me.
diabolical.
That is
diabolical.
That's diabolical.
Like a special place and a dark place for you.
I'm meant to be with you, bro.
Like he's
God
like Corinthians
said to me,
69. Like it's just like what?
He said like you're supposed to be in my life.
Like
bro.
Josie knows that there has been multiple men in my life that have told me, God told me I'm supposed to be with you. Those exact verbatim words.
Did he?
And I've
Did
been
he?
like, and my answer is always the same. Thank you so much. That is really beautiful, but the Lord hasn't downloaded that information to me yet.
Not the downloading information.
I haven't gotten that update
It's
yet.
still processing.
So send me that email.
Yeah, so I didn't get, that Slack. I didn't get that tweet notification. So I'm gonna continue doing me. And
if we meet up, amazing.
You feel me? Like, and if this is something that naturally, organically happens and we connect intellectually and emotionally and all of those things happen, cool. And I feel like it because I also can be like jaded and cynical, which I'm working on.
You?
I know, never.
Never.
Then this is something that I'll decide to engage with. But it's just sad. I'm just like, so many people are like cosplaying and putting on a facade. And I'm like, just be you. Just be honest about what you're doing. If you just want casual sex, cool. But let that person know. Don't be too scared and cowardly about the situation.
Yeah,
like,
just be upfront.
I'm going to tell this girl, which I think is what a lot of men have done with you historically. Is a lot of men have like, because I've seen it with my own eyes. We all lived in the same house together. I saw men come in.
Love bomb me.
And literally like court you, because I don't believe in like casual dating. Like I want to be courted, and thank
these
God
guys
the men in
court
my life
me.
have.
They literally take me
They
out.
will court you. They will say all these things. They will talk about your family. They want to meet your friends, and then be like, wait, I don't want anything with you. And then it leaves me sad because
I'm the one crying in my
Yeah.
room with Alicia and Josie holding me, because then I'm wondering, and I know I'm not alone in this, because how many women and also people feel like this when
many people.
and it sucks so badly. And it's like, and I feel like this is like characteristics in hookup culture. You have like the player, you have like the girl or the person who has the catches feels, you have the prude, you have all of these things, and you're like, as long as you're the one, as long as you're like not a cis man, you're damned in hookup culture.
because, well, not even though, because like
Really?
Everyone kind of gets fucked by hookup culture.
by hookup culture and like the patriarchy, like, it doesn't serve them, it doesn't serve us. I think there are people that are more privileged, absolutely cis hetero men within this.
Yeah. Do you guys think that there are do's and don'ts of hookups? Obviously, communicate at all times. Are there the do's and there's the don'ts?
I think do communicate, do say how you feel, and not only be honest with the other person, but be honest with yourself. I think hookup culture can be a really easy place to not have to do the hard work for yourself and for your partner, and to just like kind of skim through life in this frequency that doesn't expect anything more than you other than just your body and your presence in bed with that person. I think if you really do want something more, you have to be honest with yourself, and you have to recognize that like hookup culture or hooking up may seem fun and cool because you don't have to be emotional, you don't have to be vulnerable, but like if you really want something, you have to be honest with yourself, and you have to be willing to fail, and you have to be willing to get hurt, and you can't get trapped in this cycle of hookup culture if that's ultimately not what is best for you. And I think that is a hard lesson for a lot of people to learn. And then I also think sometimes it's like, if it's good for you, it's good for you. Like,
If you're down to fuck and you're like okay with detaching,
then fucking do
Turn
it,
on
bro.
the
Do
news
it.
protection.
Alicia, what do you think?
I echo a lot of like what Josie says. I think an additional do, because I think all of her do's are iconic.
All of my dues.
Please.
When someone tells you what they want or who they are, pay attention and listen. Like
Like
I think a lot of like my sisters will like believe in the hope that they have for that relationship, and I'm like, baby, that's not serving you. So in addition to like what Josie said, like be honest, communicate, have a foundation of respect, like just human respect
yeah.
for that person, but also be introspective and be honest about what it actually is and what they've told you they want and what they don't want. They said this is never going to be a relationship and I don't believe in monogamy. Then maybe, baby girl, let's not get that invested until maybe things change one day. I would say the don'ts for me is like, don't feel the need to lie. Don't feel forced to do things that feel unnatural to you. Don't pander to that person. Girl, gay, they, them, like whoever it may be. Like, don't pander to the person you're hooking up with, and make yourself uncomfortable for them.
For their comfortability.
Yeah, and don't lose yourself, and like don't feel the need to be disingenuous about who you are. Like I think a lot of people wanted me to feel bad about like not engaging in intimacy for a very long time and would, you know, like call me prude or say this or say like, oh, you should be hooking up more. No, I am who I am, and be proud of that because you're amazing and you're beautiful, and it's okay if your journey looks different. But if you want to, turn up, girl. How about you, babe?
I think both of you guys said it perfectly, but I think do's and don'ts of hookup culture. Do always communicate. Always communicate. Always be on the same page. I also promise you that if you're communicating and you're both on the same page, the intimacy is so much hotter. More than just like emotionally, you feel so much better afterwards. It's like you asking what your partner or the person that you're with wants and what they need, and they ask you what you want and what you need is the sexiest, most incredible feeling in the world. And also, as I've grown, when I'm having these emotional, intimate relationships with people, I've realized when I'm comfortable enough to ask, I like it there, I want this, can we cuddle after? It is so much hotter than me having to put my clothes on after, or me like having to leave the house and be like, this feels so degrading. Don't be an ass. Just don't be an asshole. Don't be an asshole. Like, be empathetic. Treat others how you would want to be treated. If you know that you're being a dick, why be a dick? Yeah. Literally, it costs $0 to just be kind and honest. It literally costs $0. All in all, you have us telling you right now, be honest, be sexy, be yourself, and if they don't like you, they can go kick rocks. Smash the subscribe button below to not miss a single thing of Dare We Say on YouTube.